month on.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of money coming back into the village to try to offset the cost of it. It'll take a lot of years to make the money back that the village wasted on this, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
And they pay for the maintenance of the lot, so that comes out of our responsibility as well. So I think it's a good way to go, and hopefully people will charge their vehicles there, and it takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes to charge one of these vehicles. And the hope is that they walk into town, have a cup of coffee, maybe have some lunch, and spend some money while they're charging their car.
No, it's smart. I mean, I know, you know just as well as I do, there's a lot of Teslas out here.
Right.
They got to get charged somewhere. I know there's a spot in Southampton. I know there's a spot in Watermill out by the Soul Cycle, and the shop's right there. Other than that, if you go anywhere east of that, it's tougher.
I think Montauk, I think the town installed
Montauk.
Okay. I think there was some controversy over that when they did that as well. So I think it doesn't hurt. The lot was being used for absolutely nothing. I did get some questions about, are we going to do some screening there? We are. We're going to put some bushes up to try to hide them a little bit. But again, it's in pretty much a commercial area for us, right next to the train tracks and next to the middle school. So I think it's a good spot, and I don't think there's any problems with it.
Pretty sure I read 98% of the electricity is paid for via Tesla.
Yeah, correct. The village taxpayers are not paying anything for this lot to operate.
Okay.
And again, we're generating a little bit of money back into the village fund. So, you know, over a bunch of years, hopefully we pay it back, pay back what was spent. So
hopefully Tesla doesn't go under.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll always be electric cars coming forward that can utilize these things. And there's also some extra spaces in there that are not designated for Tesla or electric vehicles.
Yeah, they said there's still going to be handicap spots there.
There's still handicap spots. There's still spots that can be used for the general public if they want to patronize any of the stores that are right there, including the hairdresser. And even if those spots are all taken, you can park in a Tesla spot. You don't get a fine or anything. So it's a win-win in our view.
Okay, awesome. I think it makes sense. It's a way to make money over time, like you said. And as you know just as well as I do, they got to charge somewhere.
Right.
And you might as well be in town, so they go spend money in town, like you said.
Exactly. That's the hope.
Yeah. And let's move on to what is the latest information. A few months ago, there was this rumor flying around town about a potential brewery on Toilsome Road, and then, of course, the neighbors obviously don't want it. Do you have any update on that?
I don't have an update. I can just elaborate a little bit on what you're saying.
Yeah.
An application for a brewery / restaurant was applied for to our DRB, which is our Design Review Board. As of late, there has been no further application sent in. There's been no determinations made other than some plans that were submitted. At that point, the DRB will look at them and see if there's any recommendations they can make to hide the parking lot or reduce odors, if there's an odor involved. These are all things that the neighbors are concerned about, as well as traffic, which, of course, everyone is concerned. But this is an industrial area. It's zoned industrial. It's able to have a restaurant. So we'll see what happens. Just so everyone knows, this does not come before the village board. The village board has no say in this. It's zoned what it is, and it's going to go before our DRB, and they will make determinations as to how it best fits into the neighborhood.
Now, do you think a brewery would be beneficial for the village of East Hampton?
Well, listen, I think a restaurant is beneficial. I think the word brewery gets people a little concerned. They start thinking about other locations that have been problems in the past, and it's concerning. So I happen to live on the same street, so I have the same concerns, but I happen to know the Diamond family, and I don't think that they would want anything that's going to hurt this community. They've been here their whole lives, and I respect them, and I think that they will do a good job, and we'll see how it plays out.
Pub sounds a little more friendlier.
Yeah, or restaurant sounds good to me, but I think beer garden scares people.
No, I mean, it's...
we do plan on having a public, not a hearing, but a public information session. I've asked the restaurant owners to come in after the first of the year, and we'll invite the public in, the concerned public for that area, or anyone who's concerned, can come in, and we can have questions and answers, and hopefully it'll put people a little more at ease. And we'll go from there. I mean, I don't even know if this is, One application came in, it went away, it was a couple months ago, and nothing else has happened.
A lot of people talked about it, though.
There's a lot of
talk. It was the talk of the town for a good 2-week run there.
It's still, I mean, it's in the Star, there's letters to the editor every week in the Star. Again, I live in that neighborhood, so I hear it every day. So, you know, people are worried and they're concerned. There's a lot of other things that could go in there that may or may not be better. Yeah. So,
I mean, from my perspective, there does need to be a few more places out here for younger people to go out to during the week.
Right.
There are options. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that it's not as nice as it could be.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. I think that people are concerned because they feel that this is really a residential neighborhood, and this is not the proper place for it. Assuming it's going to be packed and overflowing with people. I mean, I'm sure the owners hope that, but.
All right, let's move on to a topic that you are very, very well versed in. The village is going to purchase a $695,000 brand new mobile police command unit. Now, this is a lot. Just that one sentence is a lot. Can you explain, before we even go into the price and what it's going to do, what is a mobile police command unit?
Well, our particular mobile unit is used for many different things. One is used as a command post should there be an incident that requires police to be on a prolonged investigation. Yeah. So that's one case. Thank God we don't have a lot of that. But the other thing, and people are probably not well aware, that the village police department handles all the 911 calls from Montauk to Wainscott. Okay. So in other jurisdictions like Southampton Town Police handle the 911 calls for their jurisdiction. Southampton Village handles the 911 calls for their jurisdiction. Okay. Here in East Hampton, that doesn't happen. East Hampton Village handles all the 911 calls.
And then they relay it to the town.
And we relay serious calls to the town. Okay. Well, actually, we relay all the 911 calls that come in for them to the town. If it's serious, we will dispatch it. So we're not wasting that valuable time on something serious. So we also have contracts with all the outlying fire departments and ambulances. Again, Montauk, Amagansett, Springs. We used to have Bridgehampton, we have Sag Harbor, and we have East Hampton. So all of those districts pay us to handle their dispatching. Okay. We created a vehicle many years ago when I was chief of police. We created a vehicle, and the current chief actually donated an old bread van to the cause, and then we fit it with radio communications. So we actually have, it looks like an old van, but it's actually a state-of-the-art and can dispatch fire, police, and we've used it, we've deployed it during hurricane situations to Montauk. Because at one time, Montauk was actually cut off during one of the hurricanes, and we had that mobile command van out in Montauk, and we were able to dispatch the fire and police out there because they were out of communications with the rest of us.
So now we're actually getting, instead of a bread van, it's a vehicle that was 100% designed to be a mobile police command unit.
Correct.
Not a bread van.
Correct.
Okay.
Not a bread van.
So we're not working on the bread van garage model anymore.
Correct.
And explain to me, is this basically what you'll see in like the Law and Order shows when they're going on a sting? They'll be in that fancy truck with all the equipment?
I don't watch Law and Order, I'm sorry, Matt, but it's typically a large van that
I'm trying to give people
has a conference table in it. It's picture a motorhome, but only not for sleeping. Okay. That's kind of what it looks like.
And the town, can you explain what they're going to be using it for moving forward?
So, well, that's what we're going to equip it with, all the latest radio technology, and we'll be able to deploy it in any emergency situation and dispatch for that fire department. Again, it would typically be used if we're expecting a hurricane like this past summer. We will deploy that van to Montauk in case they lose communications. Well, the one hurricane, it washed out in Napeague, so there really was no way to get back and forth. So we have to be in place ahead of time.
Now, where is it going to be located at? Like where?
We're going to keep it at Cedar Street in our firehouse.
And then day-to-day usage, is there any?
There is no real day-to-day use. Okay. There's once a week. It's taken out, it's run, and it's everything is tested. Okay. So it's really a worthwhile purchase. I know it's expensive, but everything's expensive these days. I mean, you could buy a police car at $70,000 these days. So, you know,
I'd rather be on the safe side than
is
an old bread van that we're trying to survive on its last legs.
Right, and again, people are relying on the village to dispatch their EMS. So we need to have state-of-the-art equipment to do that. And just like we just purchased $5 million, or just agreed to purchase almost $5 million for fire trucks that are all outdated. And, now we're under the gun because all these trucks have come due at the same time. They have a 20-year lifespan. So there's no reason why they should all be coming due at once. They should have been, in the past, they should have been staggered and paid for and bought, and it wasn't done. So now the new village board is holding the entire, bag on that to come up with 5 new trucks. So it's a lot.
Yeah. Can you buy old ones and restore them, or do they have to be brand new?
They have to test. They have to qualify under these pump tests and all of this stuff that is required by the insurance companies. And, you don't want to have a pump fail in the middle of a fire when people's lives depend on you. So
I was just talking to Peter Van Skorek, town supervisor for East Hampton, and we mentioned the Bridgehampton fire this past weekend and the Montauk blaze November 17th on Willow Road. Multiple fire departments from Bridgehampton, Sag Harbor, East Hampton, Amagansett, and Springs all went to both those fires.
Right.
It was a hydrant issue out in Montauk, and it was just a big barn fire out in Bridgehampton this past weekend. But it is impressive that we have the capabilities of getting multiple towns volunteer firemen out to those scenes when needed.
It's incredible. The volunteer system in East Hampton and our surrounding villages and towns is incredible.
And
I don't know what we would do without.
You worked with them your whole career.
Yeah. And we just went to a great ambulance dinner the other night at the Maidstone. The ambulance was kind enough to invite us up there, the board, and it was a wonderful night. And again, without the volunteers, we would be. Our taxes would probably be very high because we would have to pay all of these people. And they just do it, out of the goodness of their heart. And to go to ambulance personnel, I mean, they're putting themselves out with COVID, in the, real dangerous situations.
Hey,
so
I have plenty of friends whose dads are volunteer firemen. They are running into fires as a volunteer.
We need more young people, Matt.
I got bad shoulder. I've had shoulder surgery twice. You know that. Let's move on. The village voted unanimously to relax the rules limiting the size of cellars in homes. I didn't really understand the gist of this in the article. Can you explain it to me? I guess they are trying to prevent. We want bigger cellars, but we're trying to prevent from bedrooms going down there. Is that what it is?
No, not really.
Okay.
So what happened back in 2015, there was no limit on how big your basement could be. So the village board at the time created a law that said your basement could not be any larger than your first floor footprint.
Okay.
So we looked at that as something that was not really helpful for our residents. So we rolled that back, so we went back to what we were, and then we put some stipulations on it. So you can only go 25% larger than your first floor footprint. Okay? So you can go larger. And then it has to meet the same setbacks as if it was above ground. So you can't go all the way out to your property lines. You have to go the same as if it was above ground. It will not count as coverage. So coverage is you can only have so much coverage on your lot, and then you can't have any more things. But this will not count as coverage like a patio would. So I think it's a home run for our residents because a lot of the smaller lots really need that extra room. You think about if you have a small basement and you have, say, a patio goes out the back. I've heard a lot of people would like to put a basement under that so they could store their outdoor furniture that comes in from the outside. A lot of these lots don't have garages. They don't have. So it's a real home run for the smaller lots, I feel. But it certainly is not. For the bigger lots, it's not going to affect anyone. So
what was this trying to prevent originally, though, by putting that rule in?
I can't answer that question. I don't.
I'm just trying to wonder, what was the?
I'm not saying I won't answer your question. I don't understand why it was put into place, so I can't answer that question because I don't know what the thought was because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me.
Okay. We will move on. Like the town, the village has opted out of allowing cannabis dispensaries and consumption establishments within the village. Is there any specific reasoning the village decided to opt out, or just rather wait a few years and see how it goes?
I can tell you that my personal feeling is I was a police officer for 34 years. I personally don't like marijuana. I don't like the smell. I don't like anything about it. However, the state has made it legal, and I think that is the right thing to do because there are so many people that use it, and I don't think it's as harmful as, maybe we first thought. So I think that part of the law is good. I think that communities that want to make it legal, that have industrial areas or things like that where they can put a shop, I think would probably be okay with me. But in our small village, I don't have a place to really put this that's going to not cause a lot of problems with our residents. So that was really the underlying reason that we didn't move forward.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of stipulations as how like a building can only be so close to a state building, a town building, a school, etc. So in the village, I don't even know if there is a spot that's filling all those stipulations, to be honest.
I'm sure there is, but I'm not sure what would happen with. I think it would be better served, and I hate to pass the buck, but I think it would be better served in a bigger jurisdiction. So like the town, they could put it on an industrial road, something like that, where there's less.
Too much action.
Yeah, the village is right between 3 schools. I mean, I don't see a way that the residents would really appreciate us doing this. So.
No, yeah, I'm just reading out topics in the Star.
No, and the nice part about this law that the governor did is he allowed each jurisdiction to make their own decision.
Yeah.
And you can opt out. You can always opt in. But if you don't opt out, you can never get out.
Oh.
So we took the stance, let's opt out.
Is that a trend of a lot of towns and villages?
I think it is, yeah. I think it is. I think Southampton has opted in, if I'm not mistaken, Southampton Town. And I know Riverhead has.
I mean, you can make an argument, if Southampton opts in, you don't need East Hampton to opt in.
Right.
If people want, they can go to Southampton. I mean, that's a legit argument to be made. Yeah.
So.
All right, but we'll move on. Let's review some agenda items that you talked about in the November 19th and the December 2nd meeting. This is a proposed code amendment for zoning concerning residential overnight parking. What was that specifically about?
So one of our board members brought up a suggestion that we change our zoning. This is a zoning issue. Change our zoning to require that lots have, when you build a new house, that lots have more parking spaces than they are required to have now. So right now, every home is required to have 2 parking spots.
And that's not enough, in the village's opinion.
Well, this particular thing didn't pass.
Oh, okay.
But in this board member's view, it was something that we needed to add. I think he was modeling it after Sag Harbor. Sag Harbor did a similar legislation where they required 2 parking spots up to 3 bedrooms, and then after that it was a parking spot for every bedroom. Okay. So some of us didn't like the idea because on our smaller lots, you're going to not have any real front lawns now because we're going to require so much more parking that I was just in a house the other day that has like 5 bedrooms, and it's on a little tiny street. So if we're going to require them to have, 4 parking spots, there's going to be no front lawn. It's just going to be all pavement. And I don't think anybody wants to go down the street and see that. No. For the few times a year where that house may be full and they have to park on the street, I'm okay with that. So that's kind of where we left it. And
is there overflow parking for people who have guests that need to park in the village somewhere, maybe?
Well, right now, we changed the law on this so that everybody who's a village resident can park at the train station for free.
Okay.
So
awesome.
They could always move a car over to there and park overnight. But we've relaxed our overnight parking regulation. So residents can park in front of their house on the street for now, until we come up with something. So, but that was a zoning code thing that one of our board members felt that it was a problem. And we did a traffic study for the month of August, and we showed that the data didn't show his concern. Month of August is clearly our busiest month.
Oh yeah, nobody can argue.
And there was not a overnight parking issue on any of our streets.
Yeah, okay.
So,
let's move on to the installation of outdoor lighting at the Wimbles, which you told me is going up literally probably as we speak right now, tonight.
Yeah, just before I came on, I got a text from my village administrator, and he said that the lights are lit tonight.
Why does this feel so important to you to get these lights up?
Well, it's going to look beautiful. We have the white lights now around the arms, and this will be lights that are projected from the ground onto the windmill, almost like the Empire State Building type thing.
Yeah.
Earlier version. But and it's for Christmas it's going to be red and green.
Awesome.
So if you drive by any of our 3 windmills tonight, you should be able to see the red and green lights.
I will make sure to hit a windmill up
I'm going to
on
hit
my way
it.
back to Amagansett.
I'm going to go to dinner and I'm going to check out the windmills.
No, I know. My parents love that. My parents love the, the whether it's the little trees in the Amagansett, East Hampton, and all of those. I love it too. It makes the town look like a Christmas town all of a sudden.
It's friendly, you know, and that's the goal of our board is to be friendly to our residents and to our visitors. So how nice is it when you drive down Main Street and you have all this beautiful lighting and it's just so welcoming. And that's why I've been pushing for outdoor dining, because I think when you drive through an unfamiliar place and you're like, wow, look how nice that looks. Let's stop there for lunch or let's have dinner there. It's something you remember rather than just driving down the street and everything's closed and there's nobody on the streets. So
no, I know how hard you're fighting for that, for outdoor dining. I know you're passionate
fighting for a long
about
time, but we passed that law, so now it's in.
Let's move on to the creation of the Village of East Hampton Historic Preservation Committee. That's quite a sentence, but it sounds like it's also has quite importance.
Yeah, so this was actually an idea that was brought to me by the Village Preservation Society. Joan Osborne, I believe, sent me a letter and suggested that we create this preservation group that will look at all applications when asked to by the DRB or the Planning Board or the ZBA that come before them. And I haven't chosen the committee yet, but it's going to be made up of an architect, probably a builder, and then a couple of other people that from the community. And when the DRB or one of our boards ask for them to look at an application, they'll look at it and make their recommendations. So before we move forward, so
it's like an extra help almost.
Exactly, I think it was a good idea. We already do that. In a way, what we'll do is our boards have access to an engineer, or they also have access to our historic building, Bob Hefner. So if they need help for any project, they certainly can reach out to any of them. But this is just another step.
It's like a second opinion when you're getting a surgery almost. And now they have 4 opinions, 5 opinions.
Yeah, I think it's going to help. The only thing I really cautioned is that I don't want it to slow down the process. Because, people are on time schedules and, you have to get this done before the weather and you have to do this and that. So we don't want to slow the process down. So.
All right, and let's get before we roll out of here. Let's talk about the Wyborg beach bathrooms. What's going on over there?
Well, it's one of our bigger beaches.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we have no lifeguard services there. And in order to have lifeguard services, Suffolk County Department of Health, probably the State Department of Health, require that you have a bathroom facility.
So you want this to become a lifeguarded beach?
We do.
For the first time in my entire life, Wyborg is going to be a lifeguarded beach.
Yes.
Thank God. I've been saying this for years because I used to work at the Maidstone Club as a lifeguard, and I used to run back and forth, and it always scared me.
We've had a lot
that you never know. On a red flag day, you can't trust random citizens and then having to have to call 911 and having lifeguards AV down the beaches. So I applaud you on this.
No, thanks. It's really, Chris Minority, my deputy mayor, has been a big push. He basically lives at the beach.
Well, I knew he ran the beach He ran Main Beach for years,
Yeah, so he was a big push for this, and it's really, when you look at the statistics and you look at the facts, it's really hard to say no to this, because there's 80 parking spots, I think, down there. So you're talking about families and...
You multiply 80 times 4 person per car, and that's way below average if you ask me. Usually it's 6 to 7 people in a car on a beach day.
So you're talking about a full packed beach and no lifeguards. And on top of it, we charge for that to go to that beach, and then you have no real services. So
now, if we're going to add bathrooms, are you going to potentially give out a license to sell food there?
Well, it's funny because we did an experiment this past summer, and we did offer 2 Mile Hollow, and no one took us up on the bid.
Could it have been because of COVID and stuff like that?
Maybe our, beginning bid price was too high. So we'll revisit that this
or maybe
this spring.
Food truck situation.
Well, it was. That's what we were.
Oh, that's
trying
what
to
you were
get a
doing?
food truck
Yeah, okay,
down there.
yeah.
It would have to be a food truck because this building would not be capable of. Like, it's not going to be like a concession.
Oh no, I always figured. Yeah, okay.
So it'd be a food truck, but we're not opposed to that.
Yeah.
We'd like to try it for one summer and see how it goes.
For what it's worth, the town and village and everyone from Montauk to Georgia Beach, there has been one incident at a non-lifeguarded beach my entire life, where one woman unfortunately passed when going after her kids. But other than that, that's been one drowning in my entire life. So adding the lifeguards to the one beach that doesn't have it, that has an excess amount of people, is genius, in my opinion.
I don't have the stats in front of me because I didn't know what we were going to be talking about, but Drew Smith is our new lifeguard we hired. He's going to be managing our beaches year-round.
Been a lifeguard forever, by the way.
Yeah.
For those who
He's
are
also
wondering,
a New York City fireman. He just either is, I'm not sure what he's doing. I think he's resigning from there or taking a leave of absence, something. But he had the statistics at our last board meeting of how many rescues we had at Wyborg this summer.
Which means, like I said,
I mean,
you have to AV down from Main Beach or Indian Wells all the way to Wyborg or 2 Mile Hollow, and then you gotta then go and save them. That's a lot of effort. I've seen it firsthand when that happens.
We did a rescue. The village did a rescue. We stayed open later. We were open until Columbus Day weekend, and the town beaches were closed. And we had a call come in. I think it was at Atlantic Beach, and our jet ski shot down there and made the rescue. Yeah. So, you know, having the right equipment is really important. Yeah. We've given them, this jet ski does something like 70 miles an hour on the water.
Well,
so,
and I know the town got new jet skis this year as well. And I also know the junior, if I can, the junior lifeguard program is amazing. Yeah. Sign up. You sign your kids up. I did it my entire life. I learned how to swim in the ocean. And really the ultimate story of junior lifeguarding was when J.C. Barrientos, on a run after school, went in and saved someone. In May, when there was no lifeguards, and then he gave them CPR, and the guy ended up living because of the junior lifeguard program. Yeah. So I'm really proud of the junior lifeguard program and everything Johnny Ryan does, and I know you guys have the village junior lifeguard program as well up at Main Beach. Yeah. So it's a great program, and get your kids involved.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The Ryans have just been super at what they do with this.
Oh, fantastic.
John Ryan Jr.
They have a film coming out, actually.
Yeah. And now you have Drew stepping up right behind them, and he's going to be doing the same thing. Oh, yeah. So, and this summer was a good example. The Ryans and our people all worked together, and we had that great tournament at the beach. Yep. But I'll tell you a quick story. Do we still have time?
No, we're good. Yeah, we're good on time.
All right. So, quick story. I was chief of police at the time. We had a rescue call. It was in October. It was a beautiful day, almost like today. And a bunch of young kids were in the water. And it was terrible
conditions,
terrible conditions. And they were all in trouble. So we get to the beach. We had no equipment. This was back in the early 90s. Oh, wow. We had nothing in the...
So you were like young in your days, younger. Yeah.
Nothing. Well, I'm sorry. It was 2000s.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
I was going to say 90s. That's a big gap here.
You know, I was chief in 2003, so it was right around there. Right. And anyway, there was like 4 or 5 kids out there, and a young cop came up to me, and we had a surfboard in the four-wheel drive vehicle, and he said, "Hey, can I grab the surfboard and go out there?" I said, "Do you have any idea you know what you're doing?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." So he goes out, and he was out maybe 2 minutes, and board's gone, and now needs to be rescued. Yeah. So my point was, John Ryan Jr. showed up, went out and rescued them all and brought them in. Yeah. So everybody... After that, it was just unbelievable.
You know, just in the last 15 years, the creation of Ocean Rescue for for the emergency after-hour rescue team, and you also have the addition of. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But the signs at every beach, which beach is what, saying this is beach 11D or whatever, and then you also have the red buoy to save people if you had to. Although, I need to make it very clear, if you're not a lifeguard, do not go in and save someone, ever. That is protocol. Yeah. But,
Ocean Rescue has been a big super help out here on the East End, and it was actually started by Jimmy Minardi, Mike Tracy, and who's the chief of police now in the village, and Kevin Sarlo, who is, Mike Sarlo is the chief of the town police. This was his brother. He was a police officer. I'm not sure what rank he was when him and Mike and Jimmy came up with this idea. Sold it to me as chief, sold it to the chief then, which was Todd Saris, and that's how Ocean Rescue became Ocean Rescue. So
it works. They've gone in at 9 p.m.
No, it's
I mean, they've had some really distressing calls in the winter.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So
no,
it's a great program.
It's a home run, and again, without our volunteers, we would have nothing out here.
Yeah, and this all ties back to the fact that Wyborg is going to get beach bathrooms and lifeguards.
We actually gave free beach permits out
Oh,
to anybody in Ocean Rescue, trying to encourage them to use the beaches, and that would give us an extra lifeguard on the beach without.
Smart.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
that's why I pushed the junior lifeguard program because even though I haven't been a lifeguard in years, I know what to do if I had to.
Right.
If I was just at the ocean and someone was drowning, I could.
I know what to do too, man. It's 911.
All right, Jerry. Unless you have anything else,
No, I'm
it was a
I'm
great
good.
show.
Just want to wish you everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah is already 5 days in, 6 days in, so.
And we'll be back on January 31st. I know it's a long time from now, but the show's plan is to do the last Monday of every single January with Jerry live here at LTV. But thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah. Have a good night, everyone.